The Commission did not talk with the Russian Federation in order to organize the events of 2006 or 2007. But at the same time, I think these events were extremely salutary events in terms of focusing the minds of the overall European population on the three factors that are actually determining our energy policy at the moment. And I think I'm right to say that Europe is today entering a new energy landscape and also a new industrial revolution that Minister Gabriel has already referred to. This new energy landscape is one in which the world's economic regions are dependent on each other for ensuring energy security and stable economic conditions, and for ensuring effective action against climate change. The effects of these landscapes are felt directly by everyone. Access to energy is fundamental to the daily lives of every European, as it is to the daily lives of the whole population of the planet. Citizens are affected by higher prices, threats to the security of energy supply, and changes to the European climate. Sustainable, competitive, and secure energy is one of the basic pillars of our daily life. The key words are behind me: environmental protection, security of supply, and competitiveness. And the challenges that we face today boil down to one key question: how to use and produce energy in an efficient and sustainable way. Let me begin by climate change. The evidence is clear. Climate change is happening. It is not something that only the scientists are arguing about. The Stern report convincingly makes the case that if we don't act now, the overall costs and risk of climate change will be equivalent to losing at least 5% of global GDP per year, now and forever. And some of you may have seen the headlines today of the French newspapers, Libération, Figaro, which are already giving a foretaste of the report of the International Panel on Climate Change, which will on Friday come out with a very similar message to all of us. The 5% loss of GDP is already an optimistic scenario, because if a wider range of risk and impact is taken into account, the estimate is that damage could rise to some 20% of GDP or more. In contrast, the cost of action is limited within the realm of what economists can tell us. They are thinking that it would be in the order of 1% of GDP. So we really have reason to be worried, but we also have the means to allay these fears. And if we do not act strongly now, it will be too late for future generations to do anything about it, no matter what measures they will then be taking. And I think this is something that we have a great responsibility in politics, in bureaucracy, but also as citizens. And this is all very much linked to our energy policy. Energy policy is an issue of concern. It is probably also the one single factor which will determine the future of our planet. The challenge is obviously not only about climate change, it is also about Europe's security of supply, the economy and well-being of its citizens. Even without climate change, there's every reason to limit the EU's growing exposure to volatile prices from oil and gas and future uncertainties over market developments, to bring about a more competitive EU energy market and to stimulate technology and jobs and to assure environmental protection. Following Eluned Morgan's report in the European Parliament on the Green Paper on Energy, the Commission published a strategic European energy review on the 10th of January. I think I can proudly say it was for the first time a comprehensive package of measures to establish a new energy policy for Europe, to combat climate change and to boost Europe's energy security and competitiveness. I think it was, and I say this because there were a lot of you involved in preparing all these elements, it was the Commission in Europe at its best at the moment, pooling the knowledge and the resources and trying to put forward a comprehensive vision of where we should be going. The proposals set a series of ambitious targets for the EU on greenhouse gas emissions. As Madame Morgan has said, 20% reduction by 2020. On renewable energy, 20% of energy use by 2020, together with the objective of 20% energy efficiency improvement for 2020 announced in the Energy Efficient Action Plan. The proposals also aim to create a truly internal market for energy and strengthen effective regulation. They demonstrate our commitment to global leadership and to provide a long-term vision for a new energy policy for Europe. And if I may just, as a footnote, say, the Commission shares the view of the European Parliament that in order to combat climate change on a worldwide level, we need to go to the target of 30%. But we also need to engage the other industrial nations in this process. And so please see the proposal that we are making in the context of the climate change paper also as a proposal to engage in these discussions, an offer that Europe is putting on the table. We will do unilaterally 20%, but if you do it with us, and we all know that Europe as such is only contributing to some, or in future will be contributing something between 15 and 20% of the greenhouse gas emissions. If you engage together with us, we will go this extra mile further, again showing leadership on a global level. The three central pillars we have identified in our energy policy for Europe strategy is, first of all, a truly internal energy market, second, energy efficiency, and third, accelerating the shift to low-carbon energy. Concerning the internal market, the aim is to give a real choice to energy users, both citizens and business, and to trigger the huge investments needed to meet our energy demand. The single market is not good only for competitiveness, but also for environmental protection and security. A lot of further action is still needed in the separation of energy production from energy distribution, in the field of stronger independent regulatory control, and in relation to measures needed to deliver the interconnection levels that we need. We need, from the perspective of the European consumer and producer, a single European grid, And Minister Gabriel was talking about his vision, the Man-to-Moon project. We need a European grid, Minister Gabriel, in order to be able to deliver the electricity from the Sahara to Hamburg. On the demand side, energy efficiency remains our highest priority. The Commission has proposed to improve energy efficiency vastly. The Energy Efficiency Action Plan, adopted in October, builds on the existing legislative framework with the goal of improving efficiency by 20% in 2020. We are now working hard on the implementation of the plan, and we are also encouraging member states to do the same. Only if everyone involved does their bit will we be able to realize this huge potential. And I think the German presidency in this context and Minister Gabriel and his ministry are probably exemplary. And we are also looking very much to the concrete actions that will be coming out of the G8 meeting in terms of energy efficiency, where we see that this subject is being particularly targeted by the concurrent German presidency of G8. The shift to low-carbon energy can be increased through increasing the proportion of the renewable energy in the overall energy mix. We have proposed to adopt a binding target of 20% by 2020. On the supply side, renewable energy has an undisputed and clear place in any discussions for sustainable energy policy. In addition to being largely CO2 emission-free, renewable energy improves security of energy supply, as it is generally decentralized and diversified in energy supply reliant on, by definition, everlasting and often indigenous sources. The technology demand of renewable energy sector will also stimulate world-class high-tech industry, where Europe is, and I hope will remain, a world leader. This is in reality the area where Lisbon and Kyoto meet. Innovation for CO2-free energy, I think we're world leaders in that in Europe. And Minister Gabriel was talking about Europe as being the Europe of the engineers. You can also formulate it slightly differently by saying we've always been in the forefront of innovation. Europe is actually the place where most innovations have been found, and we should see the chance of the whole renewable energy sector as being the lead sector for innovation in the world. But we also have to realize very clearly the challenge that we will be facing. I don't know whether you have seen the last Economist with the headline, the greening of the US. We will have also other industrial nations, the US, but also Japan, which will be competing with Europe in terms of becoming the place which is the most innovative in terms of developing renewable energies.